Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Brandy. I hope that you will subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. I hope that you will like this video if you like it, and let's get into it. The first one I'm going to review is not new to my collection, but it's definitely not like one of the oldest things that I've owned, and it's one that I honestly had zero interest in purchasing when it came out. I mean, literally zero. I'm talking about the Naked Reloaded palette. I had heard quite mixed reviews on this. The palette does look like this. It is a neutral with a pop of pink. And this is one that I ended up getting a stellar deal on it due to some discounts and things like that. And I paid less than half of the cost. So for me, that was like a no-brainer. I'm willing to try something for less than half price. So I initially received it. I actually used it the day I got it, and I was pretty impressed with the pigments. I personally found the original Naked not to be that pigmented. I had both the original Naked full size and like the basics palette. I didn't find them to be pigmented. I didn't find them to last all day. So I've kind of been a rebel about Urban Decay. I'm not a huge Naked fan. So this one lasts all day. It's very pigmented. The only problem that I have with this one as far as pigmentation use, things like that, is that these shimmers in particular, let's see, this is one, if you can see it, and where's the other one? This one. These two, you have to build and build and build and build because they're so powdery that they kind of fly away. Now, if you're patient and you build them, they're stunning. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, but they do take a lot. But one of the best things I think about this palette is it's a no-brainer palette. It literally is a palette that you can pick up when you're half asleep at 5 in the morning. Before I lost my job, that's what I did. And you can be half asleep and your look is going to come out good regardless. So this is not a situation where you're going to end up with these crappy looks because you weren't paying close attention. Again, this one. So it's really, honestly, pretty amazing of a palette that it can do that. So I think this palette is worth it. I think that because it's a neutrals palette, and I just think we all have neutrals palettes, I don't know if I would pay full price for it ever, but I don't think the quality stops you from paying full price. So I definitely like that, and I think that it's a really good palette, and honestly shocking so. Like, I did not put a lot of faith that I was getting a great palette when I bought it, and honestly I really like it. It's in my pan this year, and I am working on it. It's actually my concentration. I have 5 palettes that I'm concentrating on this year, and that is one of them, and I think that it's worked out really well for me. So the next palette that I want to concentrate is also an Urban Decay. This is not in my concentration palette, but it's honestly one of the ones that I really love, and I ended up returning and using points to get this, I think, so I didn't lose any additional money on it. I mean, obviously my original return was my money. This is the Urban Decay Naked Honey palette, and it does look like this. The packaging is just gorgeous, and then the palette actually looks like this. So it's got some just like absolute shimmer shades. Like, these golds in the middle are stunning and work fantastic. So looking at this palette, the only thing that I think is the downside of this palette, and I can't say there's nothing else, but like that jumps out in my mind when I was going to review these and I was making notes and things like that, is that there's a lot of really similar shades in this palette. So if you look at this section right here, these 3 are very close in tone, and then one of them is a shimmer. And then these 2 are very close in tone. Now, not saying that they're exact, but it just seems like they could have put a little bit more variety in this palette in order to kind of juice it up a little bit. It's like the zhuzh just needed a little bit more. However, the shimmers work really well. They are pigmented. They are very, like, one of the yellows, the really bright one called Honey, I actually love on my inner corner. It looks fantastic and I really enjoy it. So if you could get this for a less than full price, I would run. Don't stop. Run for this palette. If you aren't into these shades, you're not into the warmer kind of honey shades, I think that you wouldn't be missing anything if you passed. However, if this is your like zone, I definitely would pick it up. I don't think that you'll be disappointed. So the only one that I've not used like pretty much every shade, or that I just haven't really just experimented as much with, is my So Jaded palette by ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. So this palette I absolutely love. Every time I've used it, I've had no issues. I'm going to be really honest, I didn't think it was going to be that great because ColourPop has a great formula, but I feel like sometimes it can vary. Like, you can get a palette that just knocks your socks off, and then get another one you're kind of like, what happened there? I also don't care for the fact that they put the glitters in here. I don't use them, like these two right here. I will not put those anywhere near my eyes, even with glitter glue. First of all, I do have sensitive eyes. For me, it's just not a good idea to put anything like that near my eyes, for the sheer fact that my eyes will end up being irritated and then I suffer later. And what's the point? So I personally think that this is one that you could have this be your only palette and you would be just fine. Like, it literally has a little bit of everything. It has greens, it has browns, it has pinks, it has purples, it has turquoise, it has black. I mean, it really gold. It has everything. So if you have a smaller collection and you don't want 50 eyeshadow palettes or even 5 eyeshadow palettes, this is a really big palette, so you probably would want a travel companion. But this is one you could use exclusively and it would work really well. Another thing I will note is I think that majority of ColourPop shimmers you can use, I mean, not talking about Super Shock or anything like that, just regular, they're pressed ones, you can actually use without spraying your brush. You typically do have to layer them and go slow because of the fallout, but they typically look really beautiful. This one like surpassed that. So this one, if I want a really dramatic look, I do wet my brush. I mean, it's just a given that that's how it's got to work sometimes. However, I didn't have to with these. And they built, and the fallout was pretty much the same as normal ColourPop, but I have transitioned to doing my eyes first, so it's not as big of a deal. So, do I think this is a necessity? If you have a big collection, no. If you have a big collection, you probably have a majority of these colors elsewhere. If you do not, I think this is a great investment. I'm not sure, and I will post on the screen if it's still available, and I will link it below if it is, but I think that if it's still available, and I think it is, I think I saw Kathleen Lights say they were discontinuing the other ones, but this one was still available. I think that this is one that's diverse enough that you could really use it for a long time and get your money's worth. So that is my 2 bits about the So Jaded from Kathleen Lights in ColourPop. So my last mini review is the Jackie Aina Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. The outside does look like this. It's one of the prettiest palettes I own. And the inside does look like this. I was initially very intimidated by this palette. I mean, like super intimidated due to the number of deep shades in it and my glow-in-the-dark skin. However, one of the things I realized is there's plenty of ways to use this that you're not just doing smoky eyes and deep looks. You can use them as your outer corner, obviously, and all those different things. But one of the things I personally really like about this is the diversity in it. So all skin tones can use it, first of all. There's, not to say there's not eyeshadows out there every day, but this is one that particular is true. But also it's diverse in its looks because we have the different reddish tones, we have the purple tones, the pink tones, kind of the burnt umber type tones, and then we also have these cool like duo shadows that really just take the cake. I mean, they're just amazing. This and the Carly Bible palette has some shimmers that, whew, they are amazing. So is this a neat palette? So if you wear neutrals every day, I don't recommend picking up this one because you're going to use it for inner corner or shimmer or just outer corner and that's it. You're not going to really get a lot done with it. If you like any type of dramatic look, definitely is a need, must have. And then if you fall in the middle, it would just depend on your taste. I didn't think I would love this one as much as I do. Initially, I was so intimidated. I don't even think I used it for the first 2 weeks that I owned it. And now it's one of my favorites. The duochromes and the outer corner type deeper shades work so good and they're so good on my skin and they tend to make my eyes pop. My eyes are hazelish green and they always make my eyes pop and I absolutely love it. So for me, this is a neat palette. For everyone, maybe not, but I personally love it.